My name is Helen. I'm 30 years old. The night before my stepbrother's engagement party, my stepmother looked at my $42 thrift store dress and spat with disgust. "You're not coming. We won't be humiliated by someone like you in front of everyone." My father nodded in agreement. Brandon didn't even look at me. 3 days later, Brandon strutted into the executive lobby at Vanguard Capital, saw me standing there, and burst out laughing. "What the hell are you doing here, applying for a job like a nobody?" His fiancée Lauren went deathly pale and grabbed his arm. "No, honey," she whispered in horror. "She's not applying for anything. She is my boss. She's the managing director." They had spent 18 years treating me like the family embarrassment they were forced to carry. And what they discovered in the days after that moment didn't just prove them wrong, it completely destroyed everything they thought they knew about me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how we got here. I learned to be invisible when I was 12 years old. That was the year my father remarried. 2 years after my mother died. 2 years of him telling me we'd always be a team, that it was us against the world, that Rebecca's memory would live on in everything we did. 2 years. That's how long it took for him to replace her. Diane moved into our house, my mother's house, on a Saturday in April. She brought her son Brandon, who was 13, and approximately 6 tons of decorating supplies. I stood at the top of the stairs and watched her survey the living room like a general planning an invasion. "Michael," she said to my father, not even glancing my way, "we need a fresh start. This house needs to feel like ours now." Ours. Not mine. Not my mother's. Ours. By Sunday evening, every photo of my mother was gone from the walls. The wedding picture that used to hang above the fireplace. The family portraits from our trips to Door County. The candid shots of Mom in the kitchen, laughing with flour on her nose. All of it. Gone. I'd hidden a box under my bed the night before, filled with the photos I could grab, the jewelry she'd left me, a scarf that still smelled like her perfume. I was 12 years old, hiding my own mother's memory like contraband. When Diane caught me staring at the bare wall where Mom's wedding photo used to be, she smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "You understand, don't you, sweetie?" I didn't answer. I'd already learned that some questions weren't really questions. The pattern established itself quickly. Brandon made varsity basketball his freshman year. My father took us all out to dinner at Gibson's, his favorite steakhouse, the one he'd always said was too expensive for regular occasions. Diane cried happy tears. They took photos. They posted on Facebook about their pride and joy. I made National Honor Society that same year. Straight A's. Top 5% of my class. "That's wonderful, Ellie," Diane said when I told them at dinner. "Pass the potatoes?" My father nodded absently, already back to talking about Brandon's upcoming game. I stopped mentioning my achievements after that. What was the point? Diane hung a corkboard in the kitchen. A family achievements board, she called it. Photos of Brandon at every stage of success. Brandon graduating 8th grade. Brandon at homecoming. Brandon's acceptance letter to Loyola. There were 43 photos on that board by the time I left for college. Not one of them was me. The real divide came during college application season. Brandon wanted to go to Loyola Chicago. Tuition was $38,000 a year. My father wrote the check without blinking. I wanted Northwestern. I'd dreamed about it since 8th grade. Finance program. $52,000 a year. The email from my father came in April 2013. "Ellie, Northwestern is a great school, but we have to be realistic about finances. Brandon's education is already stretching us. Have you looked into state schools? We can help with some costs there." 3 weeks later, my father bought Diane a new Lexus, $42,000. I still have the acceptance letter from Northwestern in a drawer somewhere. Magna cum laude admission. Full academic scholarship offer for first year. renewable based on GPA. Nobody asked to see it. Nobody celebrated it with me. I took out student loans for the rest. Worked 3 jobs, campus library on weekdays, retail on weekends, accounting internships every summer. Slept 4 hours a night during final season. Lived on ramen and coffee and the kind of exhaustion that makes your bones ache. Northwestern's total cost was $65,000 a year when you included housing and fees. After my scholarships and the money I earned, I still borrowed $180,000 over 4 years. I signed those loan papers alone in the financial aid office. That was the day I made a promise to myself. I would never owe them anything again. But the worst part, the part that still sits in my chest like a stone, was my college graduation. May 2017. Northwestern. Magna cum laude. Finance degree. The thing I'd worked myself nearly to death for. I sent calendar invites 3 months in advance. I texted reminders. I asked 3 separate times if they'd be there. "We'll try, honey," my father said. "We have to help Brandon with something that day, but we'll do our best." Brandon was apartment hunting. In Chicago, 30 minutes from campus. The day of graduation, I sat in that auditorium surrounded by families. Mothers crying happy tears. Fathers taking 1,000 photos. Siblings holding congratulations signs. I sat with my roommate Sarah's family because they felt bad for me. When they called my name, Helen Sawyer Hartwell, magna cum laude, I walked across that stage alone. Sarah's mom cheered for me. Her dad took a photo. I smiled for them because they'd shown up when my own family hadn't. That night, I went to dinner with people who barely knew me but had bothered to care, and I made a decision. If they wouldn't see me succeed, I'd succeed where they couldn't see me. I became Helen Sawyer professionally. My mother's name, the one person who'd ever truly seen me. I dropped Hartwell from my business cards, my LinkedIn, my entire professional identity. And I started building a life in spaces they'd never look. I started at Vanguard Capital Partners 3 weeks after graduation, investment analyst, $68,000 a year. It felt like a fortune after years of minimum wage. It wasn't. My student loan payment was $2,100 a month. My apartment, a tiny studio I shared with 2 roommates, cost another $800. I lived on $70 a week for food and everything else. But I had something I'd never had before, a clear path forward. My boss, Jordan Wells, handed me a 380-page investment memo my first day. "Welcome to Vanguard," he said. "Read this by Monday. We don't do hand-holding." I read it that weekend, all 380 pages, made 63 annotations, asked him 15 questions Monday morning that made him actually smile. "You'll do fine here," he said. He was right. 2 years later, I was promoted to associate, $95,000 a year. I also started my evening MBA at University of Chicago booth. Classes Tuesday and Thursday nights, 6:30 to 9:30, while working 50-hour weeks. I'd go straight from the office to campus, eat granola bars for dinner, study until midnight. My family had no idea. Why would they? They never asked. The only time my father called during those years was August 2019, when he needed investment advice. "You work in finance, right?" he said. "I'm thinking about some things. Wanted to pick your brain." "I'm an associate at an investment firm," I said. "What do you need?" "Just general advice. How's work treating you?" That was it. That was the extent of his interest in my career. 3 years of grinding myself into the ground to build something, and he couldn't be bothered to ask a single specific question. I finished my MBA in May 2022. 3 years of evening classes while working full-time. I walked across that stage alone, too. 2 weeks later, I was promoted to vice president, $195,000 a year. The same month, I made my final student loan payment, $180,000, paid off in 5 years through aggressive budgeting and every bonus I'd ever earned. I celebrated alone in my apartment with a glass of wine and the payoff confirmation letter. Then I texted my family. Big news! Paid off my student loans today. Completely debt-free. Brandon replied 3 days later. Cool. Diane never replied at all. My father wrote, "That's great, honey. Proud of you." Proud. Now. When I didn't need him to be. That same month, Brandon got married. The invitation was beautiful. Cream cardstock with gold embossing. Mr. and Mrs. Michael Hartwell request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their son, Brandon Michael Hartwell. Their son. Singular. The wedding was at a vineyard in Lake Geneva. 150 guests. Open bar. Live band. I wore a dress I'd saved for 3 months to afford. Navy blue. Simple. Professional. When I arrived, I looked for my name on the seating chart. I found it at table 12. My father, Diane, Brandon, and the bridal party were at the head table. Tables 1 through 3 were immediate family and close friends. Tables 4 through 8 were Brandon's friends and colleagues. Tables 9 through 11 were Diane's extended family. Table 12 was my father's cousins from Indiana. People I'd met exactly twice. I sat between a 70-year-old couple who didn't know who I was. From table 12, I could barely see the head table, but I could see enough. My father's toast. All about how proud he was of Brandon, how Brandon had always made them proud, how they couldn't ask for a better son. No mention of me. Not one. Diane cried happy tears. Brandon hugged them both. I left an envelope on the gift table before I left. $500 cash. A week's salary after taxes. Nobody texted to say thank you. That was when I knew for certain. I didn't exist to them unless I was useful. I kept climbing anyway. Senior Vice President in 2023. $285,000 a year plus bonuses. I led bigger deals. Built my reputation. Industry publications started calling me for quotes. I made the 40 under 40 list for Chicago venture capital. My family didn't notice, or didn't care. Hard to tell which. That same year, I did something that mattered. I donated $250,000 to Northwestern to establish an endowment. The Rebecca Sawyer Memorial Scholarship. For students from blended families who were paying their own way through school. The fund was invested. It generates about $25,000 a year in scholarships. Forever. It was the single most important thing I'd ever done with money. I never told my family. Why would I? They'd proven over and over that my achievements only mattered if they reflected well on them. This was for my mother. For kids like me. Not for their approval. In August 2024, my father called again. Ellie, can we talk? I need some financial advice. We met for coffee. He looked uncomfortable. It's just a short-term thing, he said. Business is a bit tight right now, and Diane wants to remodel the kitchen. You're doing well, right? I know you work in finance or something. I'm a senior vice president at an investment firm. Right. So this would be easy for you. I need to borrow $25,000. I looked at him. This man who'd paid for Brandon's entire education, who'd bought Diane a Lexus, who'd let me borrow $180,000 at 18 years old. I can't help with this, Dad. His face changed. After everything we've done for you, giving you a home after your mother, I pulled out my phone, showed him my bank statements from ages 18 to 22. This is what I paid you. $800 a month in family contribution, $38,400 total while I was living at home and working my way through college. You called it rent. He stared at the screen. You made $200,000 a year at the time, I said quietly. I made $850 an hour. You still charged me rent. He left angry. We didn't speak for 6 months. I didn't lose sleep over it. October 2025. I got the call I'd been working toward for 9 years. Managing director, head of portfolio strategy, youngest MD in Vanguard's 35-year history. 523,000 a year base salary, plus carried interest that could add another 700,000 in good years. I texted my family, "Big news, got promoted to managing director today." Brandon, "Cool." 3 days later, Diane, no response. My father, "That's nice, honey. That's nice. I'd just become one of the most powerful investors in Chicago and I got, that's nice." Then, in January 2026, Brandon announced his engagement. The family group chat exploded. 50 messages in an hour. Diane sent an email to every relative we had. "Amazing news! Brandon has proposed to the most wonderful girl, Lauren. We're over the moon. Engagement party planning underway. Save the date, October 12th. Formal invitations to follow. This is everything we've dreamed of for our son." I typed "congratulations" in the group chat. Nobody responded. For the next 3 months, every family conversation was about the wedding, the venue, the flowers, the photographer, Lauren's dress, the guest list. I was included in exactly none of the planning. Then, on October 11th, a Friday, I got a text from Diane. "Family dinner tonight at 6:30. We need to go over some final details for tomorrow's party. Bring your dress." I should have known something was wrong. I drove to Naperville that evening, 40 minutes from my condo in Lincoln Park. I wore jeans and a cashmere sweater. Comfortable, but nice. I'd brought my dress for the party in a garment bag. When I knocked, Diane opened the door. Her eyes went immediately to the bag. "Oh, you brought your dress? Let me see." "I can show you tomorrow." "Don't be silly. Michael, Brandon, come here. Ellie's going to show us her dress." My father and Brandon appeared from the living room. I could see the walls behind them, covered with photos from Brandon's life, his graduation, his wedding, framed articles about his company's acquisition. Not one photo of me. I unzipped the garment bag slowly. The dress was simple. Navy sheath, classic cut, elegant. I'd found it at Beacon's Closet, an upscale resale shop in Wicker Park. $42. Perfect condition. It looked like it could have cost 300 new. Diane's face changed the moment she saw it. "Is this from a thrift store?" "It's from Beacon's Closet. It's a nice piece." A thrift store. Not a question. A statement. An indictment. Brandon shifted uncomfortably. "Ellie, come on. This is my engagement party." "What's wrong with it?" Diane stood up. "Michael, tell her." My father wouldn't meet my eyes. "Honey, it's going to be at the Drake. The Mitchells are it's a certain kind of event." "I know what kind of event it is." "Then you know this isn't appropriate." Diane's voice was sharp now. "What will people think?" "They'll think I'm wearing a dress. They'll think Brandon's sister can't afford proper clothing. They'll think we can't." She paused, recalculating. "This reflects on the family." Brandon tried. "Maybe you could borrow something? From a friend?" I looked at him. My stepbrother, who I'd known for 18 years, who'd never once defended me. "I don't need to borrow. This dress is fine." My father cleared his throat. "Ellie, please, just maybe go shopping tomorrow morning." "The party is at 6. I have work commitments in the morning." Diane's voice dripped with disbelief. "Work commitments on Saturday?" "Yes." "This is exactly what I was worried about," Diane said to my father. "She's going to make this about her. I'm wearing a dress to my brother's party. How is that making it about me?" "You're making a statement. Look at poor Ellie. Can't even afford—" "I never said—" My father's voice was firm, final. "Ellie, I think I think it's better if you don't come. The room went silent, clock ticking, my hand still holding the dress on its hanger. Brandon didn't defend me, he just looked away. You're uninviting me, I said. From my brother's engagement party. We're not uninviting you, we're just... What are you doing then? Diane's hand was on my father's shoulder. United front. We're being realistic. This is important for Brandon's future. Lauren comes from a very established family. First impressions matter. I'm not a first impression, I'm his sister. Stepsister. The word hung in the air between us. Brandon started to say something. Mom. But Diane cut him off. What? It's true. And Ellie knows we love her, but there's a time and place. For me to be invisible. My father reached for me. That's not what this is. Then what is it? No answer. I folded the dress carefully, put it back in the garment bag. My hands were steady. My voice was calm. Understood. Diane tried to soften it. Ellie, don't be like this. Like what? I'm respecting your wishes. We can talk about this. No need. It's clear. Brandon. Ellie, come on, don't make it weird. I turned at the door, looked at all three of them. Enjoy your party. I walked to my car, got in, drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw Diane watching from the window. She'll get over it, I heard her say to my father as I left. She always does. Saturday morning, October 12th. I woke up in my condo. 2 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the entire city. 1,400 square feet of space I'd bought with my own money. My calendar alert popped up. Brandon's engagement party, 6 p.m. I deleted it. I had actual work that morning. A conference call with our West Coast partners. We were negotiating the final terms on a $52 million acquisition. I sat in my home office in pajama bottoms and a professional top, sipping coffee that cost more than my weekly grocery budget used to be. Helen, thoughts on the Vertex valuation? The partner asked. Comparable analysis suggests $240 million is reasonable, but management projections are aggressive. I'd model a conservative case at 180 and negotiate from there. The call lasted 2 hours. We structured the deal. I approved the terms. When it ended, I had the entire day free. I looked up the Drake Hotel on my laptop, saw photos of the Gold Coast ballroom, imagined my family there, Diane in a designer gown, my father giving toasts, Brandon and Lauren looking perfect. I closed the laptop, made myself pasta for dinner, opened a bottle of wine, read a book while the sun set over Chicago. My phone stayed silent. No text asking where I was. No, we miss you? Nothing. At some point that evening, while I was in the bath, my father gave his toast. My son Brandon has always made us proud. From the day he came into our lives, he's been everything we could hope for. And now, Lauren joins our family. We couldn't be happier. I didn't hear it, but I knew. I'd heard versions of it my entire life. I never existed in their story. Sunday morning, I woke to my phone buzzing. Facebook, Instagram, the algorithmic cruelty of social media showing me exactly what I'd missed. Diane's post. The most magical evening celebrating Brandon and Lauren, our family's dreams coming true. 18 photos. Brandon and Lauren, my father and Brandon, Diane and Brandon, extended family, the venue, the cake, dancing. Not one photo of me. 153 likes. Comments. Beautiful family. Brandon is so lucky. Perfect couple. There was one photo that stopped me cold. A family photo, taken at the party. My father, Diane, Brandon, Lauren, Lauren's parents. All of them smiling. The caption, "Our complete family." Complete. I stared at that word for a long time. Then I screenshot it. Saved it to a folder. I didn't know why yet, but I knew I'd need it. Monday, October 14th. I arrived at my office at 7:30. Armani suit, navy, $1,400. Louboutin heels, leather portfolio, the 68th floor of Willis Tower. Corner office with glass walls. Nameplate on the door. Helen Sawyer, Managing Director, Head of Portfolio Strategy. Good morning, Grace, I said to my assistant. Is the Brookfield room set up? All ready. Coffee and pastries delivered. Your 9 a.m. is confirmed. I had 48 new emails since Friday evening. I triaged them systematically. Respond, delegate, flag. None from my family. I wasn't surprised. Grace appeared in my doorway. Helen, how was your weekend? Quiet, productive. Yours? She knew not to push. Good. Your 9 a.m. guests should be up shortly. I'll greet them in the lobby. I gathered my materials and walked to the executive lobby. The elevator doors opened, and there they were. Lauren Mitchell stood there in business casual, looking nervous, portfolio in hand. Next to her was a man in a suit who looked uncomfortable. It took me a second to register who he was. Brandon. My brain processed it in fragments. Lauren works here. She's an analyst in my division. But why is Brandon here? Then Brandon saw me. Ellie? His tone was casual, dismissive, slightly mocking. What the hell are you doing here? Finally applying for a job like a nobody? Lauren's face changed, went white. She grabbed his arm. Brandon, stop talking, now. What? That's Helen Sawyer. Brandon stared at her blankly. My boss, Lauren whispered. Her voice was shaking. The managing director. Brandon, she's not applying for anything. She runs my division. I watched his face change. Confusion, disbelief, realization, shock, panic. Around us, other employees were arriving, nodding to me as they passed. Morning, Ms. Sawyer. The environment confirmed what Lauren had said. This was my territory. Good morning, Brandon, I said calmly. Your boss is... Ellie? Lauren's voice was barely audible. Her name is Helen Sawyer. I didn't know she was your... I looked at Lauren. Mitchell, are you here for a meeting? No, yes. Brandon wanted to see where I work. I cleared it with security for a quick tour. The office tour is fine. Grace can help you with that. I glanced at my assistant. Please escort Ms. Mitchell and her guest through the approved public spaces. Of course, Ms. Sawyer. Brandon was still frozen, staring at me like he'd never seen me before. Ellie, what the fuck? It's Helen, I said quietly. Or Ms. Sawyer in this building. You work here? You're her boss? I am. Since when? I've worked here 9 years. I've been Ms. Mitchell's supervisor since she was hired in January. Why didn't you tell us? I looked at him. This man who'd stood by while his mother uninvited me from his party 3 days ago. You never asked. Behind him, the floor directory was visible on the wall. 68th floor. Executive Offices Partners and Managing Directors. Helen Sawyer. Portfolio Strategy. Brandon turned. Saw it. I don't understand. I have a meeting. Excuse me. Wait, we need to talk about... I was already walking away. Grace will help you. I left them standing there. As I walked to the conference room, I heard Lauren's voice, quiet and shaking. You didn't know. How the fuck would I know? She never said, Brandon, your sister is one of the most respected investors in Chicago, and you just mocked her. In her own building. I closed the conference room door. My 9 a.m. was waiting. A pension fund CIO and his team. $150 million commitment we were discussing. I presented our Q3 performance. Portfolio IRR of 24.3% versus benchmark of 18.1%. Smooth, flawless. My mind completely focused. The personal chaos parked outside. After the meeting, as the clients left, I glanced through the glass wall. Lauren was at her desk, on the phone, looking shaken. Brandon was gone. My phone showed 5 missed calls from Dad, 3 texts from Brandon, 1 from Diane. I silenced my phone and went back to work. Lauren Mitchell sat at her desk, hands trembling. She opened Google, typed Helen Sawyer, Chicago. The results filled her screen. Business Journal Chicago, Vanguard Capital names, youngest managing director, Private Equity International. Helen Sawyer leads portfolio strategy for Chicago firm. VentureBeat, top 40 under 40 in VC. Helen Sawyer, Vanguard Capital. Northwestern Alumni Magazine. Rebecca Sawyer, Memorial Scholarship continues to impact students. Lauren clicked the scholarship article. The scholarship endowment, established in 2023 with a $250,000 donation, honors Rebecca Sawyer, 1967 to 2005, and supports students from blended families pursuing business degrees. The anonymous donor, a Northwestern alumna who credits her mother's memory as her inspiration, has funded scholarships that will continue indefinitely through investment returns. Lauren's hands went still. Rebecca Sawyer, Helen Sawyer, mother's name. $250,000. She pulled up Helen's LinkedIn. 850 connections. Recommendations from industry leaders. Employment history going back to 2017. MBA from University of Chicago Booth. Evening MBA program. Every accomplishment documented. Professional. Public. They just never looked. Lauren opened the internal deal database. Searched Helen Sawyer. Recent transactions appeared. One made her stop breathing. Apex Media Group, Meridian Acquisition. Closed February 2026. Apex Media, Vanguard Portfolio Company, acquired Meridian Marketing Solutions for $18.5 million. Meridian Marketing Solutions, Brandon's company. Lauren clicked into the details. Deal summary. Portfolio company Apex Media Group acquired Meridian Marketing Solutions for $18.5 million, consolidating regional marketing leadership. Transaction approved by Investment Committee January 3, 2026, led by MD Helen Sawyer. She found the email chain. From Helen Sawyer to Investment Committee date December 18, 2025. Subject: Apex Acquisition Target, Meridian Marketing Solutions. Recommend approval for board review. Meridian represents strategic fit for Apex's regional expansion. Management team adequate. Customer base solid. Financial support $18.5 million valuation. Synergies estimated $4.2 million annually. Full diligence memo attached. IC vote requested for January 3rd meeting. Management team adequate. Helen had analyzed Brandon's entire company. Read reports about his management team, his revenue, his clients. She'd assessed them as adequate, not exceptional, just adequate, and approved the deal. Brandon got promoted to sales director in February because of an acquisition Helen had greenlit. His success came through her, and he didn't even know she worked here. Lauren's phone rang. Brandon. I need to tell you something, she said, and you're going to want to sit down. Your sister didn't just work there, Lauren said. She led the acquisition that bought your company. Brandon was in his car, hands on the steering wheel, staring at Willis Tower. What? Meridian Marketing Solutions? The acquisition in February? That was Vanguard's portfolio company. That was Helen's deal. That's not possible, my boss said. It was. Vanguard Capital owns Apex Media. Apex bought Meridian. Your stepsister signed off on the deal. She analyzed your company. She approved your promotion indirectly because she greenlit the entire acquisition. Silence. There's more, Lauren said. She has a scholarship. She donated $250,000 in her mother's name for students from blended families. She did it 2 years ago. This is insane. She's on top 40 under 40 lists. She's led deals worth hundreds of millions. Brandon, your sister is. She's kind of a legend here. People respect her. Some fear her a little. Everyone trusts her. Stop calling her my sister. What? She's my stepsister. And she never acted like any of this mattered. She never told us. Lauren's voice was quiet. Careful. Did you ever ask? The line went silent. Brandon sat in his car, staring up at the building, 68th floor. The dress, he said finally. The fucking $42 dress. We uninvited her because of a dress that cost less than these shoes. What? Nothing. I need to call my dad. Diane Hartwell was in her kitchen when Brandon called. Brandon, honey, what's wrong? Did you know Ellie works at Vanguard Capital? Who? Ellie, Helen. Did you know what she actually does? She works in finance, I thought. Why? Mom, she's a managing director. She runs portfolio strategy for a firm managing $8.5 billion. Lauren works under her. Pause. Lauren works? For Ellie? Her boss. Her actual boss. The person who approves her paycheck, her projects, her entire career at that firm. That's impossible. Ellie doesn't. She does. She has for 9 years. And we had no idea because we never asked. We never fucking asked, Mom. Watch your language. We uninvited her from my party over a dress, and she's making more money than all of us combined. She gave away $250,000 2 years ago, and we thought she was struggling. She never said. Why would she? We never listened. Diane stood in the kitchen, hand on the counter. Behind her, the photo wall. Brandon's life in 43 frames, not one of Helen. Your father needs to know. We need to fix this. I don't think we can fix this, Mom. Michael Hartwell took Diane's call in his office. Diane, slow down. What? Your daughter is a millionaire, and we uninvited her from Brandon's party. What are you talking about? Helen. She's some kind of investment executive. She's been wildly successful this whole time, and we didn't know. Michael sat down slowly. How successful? Brandon says she runs investments worth billions. Billions, Michael. And she gave away $250,000 for a scholarship. Jesus. This is a disaster. What if she tells Lauren's family? What if... Hang on. Last year, I asked her for money. What? $25,000. She said no. I thought she was being petty, but she actually had it. She could have written the check without thinking. Silence. She's been keeping this from us deliberately, Michael said. We need to fix this before it affects Brandon's future with Lauren. I think it already has. The bombardment started Monday night. My phone lit up with notifications. Brandon, 6:15 p.m. Ellie, we need to talk. Brandon, 6:18 p.m. Please call me. Brandon, 6:45 p.m. This is serious. Brandon, 7:20 p.m. Why didn't you tell us? Brandon, 7:22 p.m. Lauren is freaking out. Brandon, 8:01 p.m. Dad wants to talk to you. Brandon, 8:45 p.m. You can't just ignore this. Diane, 7:30 p.m. Helen, we need to discuss what happened. Please call. Diane, 8:15 p.m. This is important for Brandon and Lauren's relationship. Diane, 9 p.m. We didn't know. How are we supposed to know if you didn't tell us? Dad, 7:50 p.m. Ellie, please call. We should talk. Dad, 9:30 p.m. This isn't like you to ignore family. I sat in my condo. Phone face down on the counter. Glass of wine in hand, looking out at the Chicago skyline. I opened my journal. Wrote, "They called me 23 times today. Not once did anyone ask if I'm okay. Only, how does this affect us?" My phone rang again. Brandon. I declined the call. Blocked his number. Then blocked Diane's. Kept my father's unblocked. For now, I'd give them one conversation. On my terms. Tuesday, Lauren came to work looking like she hadn't slept. I saw her at her desk as I walked past. Nodded professionally. "Morning, Mitchell." "Good morning, Ms. Sawyer." That was it. I continued to my meeting. No acknowledgement of what had happened. No special treatment. Lauren spent the day at her desk trying to work, clearly terrified. At lunch, her colleague Jamie found her in the break room. "You've been weird all week. What's up?" Lauren looked at her. "If you were dating your boss's estranged family member, would you tell her?" "What? Whose family?" "Never mind." That afternoon, Lauren called Brandon. "I need to know. What exactly happened between you and Helen?" "It's complicated." "Brandon. She's my boss. I sit 30 feet from her office. I need to know if there's something that's going to blow up my career." "She won't fire you. That would be illegal." "That's not the point. The point is, I work for someone my fiancé's family treated like... We didn't treat her like anything. She was part of the family. You uninvited her from our engagement party. That was about the dress. Brandon, I've seen her at work. She wears suits that cost more than my rent. She closed an $18 million deal last month analyzing your company, and you mocked her for being at her own office." Silence. Lauren looked at the engagement ring on her finger, twisted it. "I need space. I need to think about whether I can be part of a family that... I need time." "Lauren, please." She hung up, took off the ring, put it in her pocket. Wednesday morning, I found an email from my father. Subject: Family meeting request. "Helen, I understand you're upset, and we need to talk about what happened. I'm asking, not demanding, if you would meet with Diane, Brandon, and me to discuss this situation. We had no idea about your career success. We're proud of you, and we'd like a chance to explain and apologize properly. Would you be willing to meet? Dinner at our house? Or anywhere you prefer? Dad." I stared at the email. "Proud of you. Now. Situation. Like it was a misunderstanding." I wrote back, "Michael, I'll meet with you. Not at your house. Neutral location. Thursday, October 24th, 6 p.m., the Peninsula Hotel Lobby Lounge. 1 hour. I have commitments after." Helen, I chose the Peninsula deliberately. Public. Upscale, professional. Downtown Chicago, 3 blocks from my office. Not Naperville. Not their territory. My terms. I hit send. Grace knocked on my door. "Your 9 a.m. is here." "Thank you." I closed the email. Back to work. They'd get 1 hour. That was all. Thursday, October 24th, 6 p.m. I arrived at the Peninsula exactly on time, still in my work clothes, carrying my leather portfolio. They were already there. 15 minutes early. Anxious. Diane in a tasteful dress, my father in a blazer, Brandon in a button-down. They stood when I approached. "Ellie, thank you for..." "It's Helen," I said, "and you have 1 hour. I have a commitment at 7:15. I didn't. But the boundary was set. "Of course," Diane said. "We just want to..." I sat. Put my phone on the table. Timer visible. 60 minutes. Started counting down. "I know what you want. Let's be clear about what this is. You're here because Lauren works for me, and you're afraid of implications. Not because you care about me." Brandon opened his mouth. "That's not..." "We didn't know about your job," my father said. "I know you didn't," I said. "That's the problem." They tried to apologize. Diane. "Helen, we owe you an apology. We didn't realize how successful you've become." "That's not an apology. That's regret about being wrong." I'm sorry you felt excluded. Felt excluded? I was actually excluded. Friday night, remember? My father leaned forward. That was a misunderstanding. The dress thing got blown out of proportion. You uninvited me from my brother's engagement party because my dress cost $42? How is that proportion? Brandon tried. We thought it would be awkward. Awkward for whom? Diane's voice hardened. For everyone. The Mitchells are a prominent family. And you thought I'd embarrass you. We didn't say that. You said you wouldn't be humiliated by someone like me. Exact words. My father shifted. If we'd known about your position, then what? I'd be acceptable? My worth is conditional on my job title? Silence. They tried again. We're proud of what you've accomplished. My father said. Are you? Of course. A managing director at 30. That's incredible. Where was that pride at Brandon's wedding? What? Table 12. With your Indiana cousins I'd met twice. I was a vice president making $195,000 a year, and you sat me with distant relatives 40 feet from family. Brandon stared. That was just seating arrangements. I gave you $500 cash. You never acknowledged it. Silence. I texted congratulations when you got engaged. No response. Diane started to speak. We were busy? For 23 days? Too busy to text back? I opened my portfolio. Let me show you busy. I slid the first document across the table. My bank statements. Ages 18 to 22. $800 monthly payment to Michael Hartwell. Family contribution. $38,400 total. My father stared at it. We needed help. You were making $200,000 a year. I was making $850 an hour working 3 jobs. Second document. My student loan records. Total borrowed, $180,000. Northwestern's cost was $65,000 a year, including housing. After the scholarships I earned and the wages I made working myself into the ground, I still owed $180. I paid the last dollar in June 2022. Pause. You paid $0. Diane opened her mouth. You never asked. Brandon's Loyola tuition. $40,000 times 4. $160,000. Paid in full by you. I never asked because I learned early that asking got me nowhere. Third document. The timeline comparison. Brandon's milestones. Family response. High school graduation. 2012. Party for 50 people. $2,500. College acceptance. Dinner celebration. Gifts. College graduation. 2016. Family trip. First job. Facebook post. Celebration. Promotion. 2020. Champagne dinner. Engagement. 2026. Party for 120. $54,000. Helen's milestones. Family response. High school graduation. 2013. Card. $25. College acceptance. That's nice. College graduation. 2017. No one attended. First job. Not mentioned. MBA completion. 2022. Congrats. VP promotion. No acknowledgement. MD promotion. 2025. That's nice, honey. Brandon stared at the paper. We went to your graduation. No, you didn't. I have photos. I'm alone in every single one. Fourth document, text screenshots. My attempts to connect, past 12 months. The evidence was clear. Messages ignored. Milestones dismissed. Holidays skipped. Then the contrast. The group chat for Brandon's engagement. 200 messages in 1 week. My messages to them, 8. Mostly ignored. Fifth document. The screenshot from Instagram, the engagement party photo. My father, Diane, Brandon, Lauren, Lauren's parents. Caption. Our complete family. I let them look at it. Complete, I said quietly. Diane was crying now. We didn't mean to exclude. Yes, you did. Excluding me is easier than seeing me. My father reached for me. That's not true. 2 years ago, you asked me for $25,000. I said no. You didn't speak to me for 6 months. I was hurt. You were hurt? I told you I couldn't help. I could have. I chose not to. Do you know why? Silence. Because you'd already taken enough. You took my childhood home and let Diane erase my mother from it. You took my college fund and gave it to Brandon. You took my place at the family table and gave it to anyone else. You took my dignity piece by piece for 18 years. I wasn't giving you money too. The table was silent. Around us, other hotel guests were trying not to stare. Brandon finally spoke. Why didn't you tell us? About your job? Your success? Any of it? I did. You weren't listening. I pulled up my phone. October 2025. I texted the family group chat. Big news. Got promoted to managing director today. I showed them the thread. Your response, Diane? Nothing. Brandon's response 3 days later. Cool? Dad's response? That's nice, honey. I scrolled to January. January 2026. Brandon announces his engagement. Diane's response. Everyone, Brandon has proposed to the most wonderful girl. We're over the moon. This is everything we've dreamed of for our son. Exclamation points, heart emojis, 53 messages in an hour. Brandon looked away. Getting engaged is different than a promotion, he said weakly. Is it? My promotion meant overseeing $8.5 billion in investments and leading 23 professionals. Your engagement meant you found someone willing to marry you, which actually required more achievement? Diane gasped. That's cruel. Is it cruel? Or is it honest? You measure worth by proximity to you. Brandon is your son, so his achievements matter. I'm the stepdaughter you inherited, so mine don't. I never thought of you as stepsister. That's what you called me Friday night. You made it clear. My father's voice was quiet. We've always treated you like family. No, you've tolerated me. There's a difference. Timer. 35 minutes remaining. You want to know why I used Sawyer professionally? Why you didn't know about my career? They nodded. Because every good thing in my life I built away from you. The further I got from Hartwell, the more successful I became. I turned to Brandon. Your big promotion in February. Sales director. You were so proud. Yeah. Meridian Marketing Solutions was acquired. That's how you got promoted. Right. Do you know who approved that acquisition? His face changed. No. I did. I analyzed your company for 6 weeks. Read reports about your management team, which I assessed as adequate. Your revenue, your client base. I recommended approval to our investment committee on January 3rd. Brandon couldn't speak. I presented at 9 a.m. Committee approved. Deal closed February 10th. You got promoted February 15th. Your success came through me, and you didn't even know I worked there. I didn't ask for, you never ask. You assume. You assumed I was struggling. You assumed I needed help. Monday morning, you assumed I was job hunting in my own building. I made a mistake. You made a million small mistakes for 18 years. This was just the first one with consequences you couldn't ignore. Brandon's hands were shaking. What about Lauren? Are you going to fire her because of me? What do you think I am? I don't know. I don't know who you are. Exactly. Diane tried one more time. We can do better. We want to be part of your life. Now you do. Now that I'm useful. That's not why. It is. If I were still struggling, if Lauren didn't work for me, would we be here? Silence. That's what I thought. We want to make this right, Brandon said. You can't. We can try. For how long? Until the novelty wears off? Until I'm not interesting anymore? My father's voice cracked. What do you want from us? Nothing. That's the point. I don't need you anymore. Diane was openly crying now. Please, for Brandon and Lauren's sake, can we move past this? There's nothing to move past. This is who we are. I've accepted it. You should too. You're just going to cut us off? You cut me off years ago. I'm just making it official. Timer. 10 minutes. What about holidays? Family events? I won't be attending. Consider me uninvited. Permanently. But there was one more thing they needed to understand. Do you remember what you asked me the first day you moved in, Diane? She looked up. No. You said, you understand, don't you, sweetie? When you took down my mother's wedding photo? Pause. The house needed a fresh start. It had been 2 years. 2 years since my mother died. I was 12 years old, and you erased her. I didn't erase. Every photo, every decoration, every trace, gone in 3 weeks. My father started to speak. Ellie, my name is Helen. Helen Rebecca Sawyer Hartwell. Rebecca is my mother's name. I kept it. Because if I didn't, she'd be completely gone from this family. We never asked you to forget her. You didn't have to ask. You just acted like she never existed. I pulled out a photo from my wallet. My mother holding me as a baby. The edges worn from years of being carried. Do you know when I stopped talking about her? They shook their heads. The week you got engaged, I mentioned something Mom used to say. You changed the subject. I mentioned her 2 days later. You looked uncomfortable. I learned. I stopped. Diane was trembling. We didn't want to make you sad. I was already sad. I was a child who'd lost her mother. You didn't avoid the topic for me. You avoided it for you. We were trying to move forward. You were trying to build a new family. And I was the reminder of the old one, the inconvenient remnant. I looked at the photo. This is the only photo of my mother I have from that house. Everything else is in a box I had to hide under my bed at age 12 because I was afraid Diane would throw it away too. I would never. You threw away her jewelry box. I watched you. You said it was outdated. Diane's face crumpled. The scholarship, Brandon said quietly. $250,000. Why didn't you tell us? Why would I? That's a huge thing. It's in my mother's name. For kids like me. Kids who don't belong in their new families. You belonged. Did I? Table 12 says otherwise. Diane whispered. The scholarship is beautiful, Helen. Rebecca would be proud. Don't. Don't use her name like you knew her. Like you honored her. You replaced her. That's not fair. You moved into her house. You slept in her bed. You raised her daughter. And you erased every memory of her existence. Don't talk to me about fair. My voice was quiet now, controlled. I established that endowment because somewhere there's a kid sitting at table 12 wondering why they're not good enough. And I want them to know they are. That the problem isn't them. That fund will help students forever. That's my mother's real legacy. Timer. 5 minutes. I spent $250,000 making sure other kids didn't feel like I did. That's more than you spent on my entire childhood. You want to know when I gave up? They nodded. My college graduation, May 2017, Northwestern. Magna cum laude. Finance degree. You didn't come. We had Brandon's scheduling conflict. Brandon had an apartment viewing in Chicago, 30 minutes from my graduation. I didn't know. You knew. I sent calendar invites. I texted reminders. I asked 3 times. We thought we could make both. You chose. I could see it in my mind. That auditorium. All those families. I sat with my roommate's family because they felt bad for me. When they called my name, Helen Sawyer Hartwell, magna cum laude. I walked across that stage alone. Sarah's mom cheered. Her dad took photos. They were strangers who showed up when my own family wouldn't. My father was crying now. I went to dinner with people who barely knew me but bothered to care. And I decided, if they won't see me succeed, I'll succeed where they can't see me. I became Helen Sawyer professionally. I built a career in spaces you'd never look. And I was free. Every promotion after that graduation, I did it without you. And it felt better. Because your approval stopped mattering. Ellie. Helen. My mother's daughter. Not your convenient stepdaughter. Helen. The timer buzzed. 60 minutes exactly. We're done. I stood. Collected my portfolio. I'll remain professional with Lauren. Her career won't be affected by our relationship. Tell her she can request a transfer if she's uncomfortable, but it's not necessary. I'll maintain appropriate boundaries. That's it? Brandon said. You're just leaving? Yes. Diane reached for me. Please, can we? No, I gave you an hour. You got what you came for. An explanation. Now you have it. What about Christmas? Thanksgiving? I won't be coming. Please don't invite me. It's easier for everyone. You're really doing this? I'm really done. There's a difference. I put on my coat, picked up my bag, turned back one last time. For 18 years, I tried to be enough for you. I've spent the last 9 years being enough for myself. Pause. I prefer the second version. I walked away. Didn't look back. Behind me, I heard Diane's voice, broken. We lost her. My father's reply, we lost her a long time ago. We just didn't notice. The next day, Lauren came to my office. Ms. Sawyer, do you have a moment? Of course. Come in. She sat, looked nervous. I want to address the situation. Your relationship with Brandon doesn't affect your work here. As long as you perform at your current level, there's no issue. I appreciate that. But I need you to know, I'm reconsidering the engagement. That's your decision. It won't impact my evaluation either way. How are you so calm about all this? Because I separated myself from that family emotionally a long time ago. You're seeing it happen publicly now, but I left years ago. They really didn't know. They didn't want to know. There's a difference. Lauren twisted the ring that was no longer on her finger. She'd already taken it off. Can I ask, how did you do it? Build all this while they ignored me? I stopped waiting for permission to exist. That Monday, I sent a letter. Certified mail. Michael, Diane, and Brandon. After our meeting, I'm establishing clear boundaries going forward. 1. No contact except emergencies. Medical/legal only. 2. I won't attend family events. Please don't include me in planning 3. Gifts/cards not necessary or wanted 4. My professional life remains separate. Don't use our connection for networking or business purposes 5. These boundaries apply to extended family as well. I've informed them separately I harbor no ill will. This is simply recognition of reality. We function better apart. I wish you well. Helen Sawyer Hartwell. They all read it within 2 hours. None responded. Good. The week after, I heard through the office that Lauren had ended the engagement. I can't marry into this family, she told Brandon. Helen is extraordinary. And you made her invisible. I didn't mean. That's the problem. You didn't mean to. You just did. And I can't spend my life wondering if you'll do that to me too. Or to our children. She'd given the ring back. I learned this when Lauren confided in her colleague Jamie, who mentioned it in passing. I sent Lauren a brief note. I'm sorry about your situation. You have a bright future here. Keep focusing on the work. She kept that note in her desk drawer. It mattered more than I knew. My life continued. Better, actually. Monday, investment committee, new deal approval. Tuesday, mentor session with the analyst class. Lauren among them, taking notes. Wednesday, dinner with Jordan Wells, my first mentor. We laughed about the old days. Thursday, a scholarship recipient sent a thank you letter. I filed it carefully. Friday, partner celebration. The managing partner raised his glass. To Helen, the sharpest mind and the strongest integrity. Vanguard is lucky to have you. I looked around the room. These people had chosen me. I'd chosen them. Real family. I deleted the Hartwell family group chat from my phone, blocked my parents' numbers, kept only Brandon unblocked, in case Lauren ever needed professional contact. That night, I sat in my condo, wine glass in hand, skyline spread before me, opened my journal, wrote. I spent 18 years trying to belong somewhere I never would. I spent 9 years building somewhere I do. Only one worked. 5 months later, March 2026. The Business Journal Chicago ran a front-page story. Vanguard Capital acquired, boutique firm's success story. Evercore Partners had acquired Vanguard Capital in a deal, valuing the firm at $420 million. The article featured my photo. Corner office, confident, professional. Helen Sawyer, 30, managing director and head of portfolio strategy, played a key role in negotiations and will continue in leadership position post-acquisition. Sawyer, Northwestern and Booth Evening MBA alum, has led firm's strategic investments since 2017. Partners and senior employees would receive equity payouts. My 0.6% ownership stake, $2.5 million. Grace brought champagne to my office. Congratulations, you built this. We built this. But you let it. That evening, we celebrated. Private room at a restaurant downtown. 25 people. Jordan Wells raised his glass. I've known Helen since she was 22, terrified analyst who read 380 pages in one weekend to impress me. She's grown into one of the finest investors I've met, and more importantly, one of the finest people. To Helen. To Helen. I looked around the room. Jordan, Nathan Ross, Grace, Lauren. We'd become genuine friends. 3 former scholarship recipients I'd personally mentored. These people had chosen to be here. I'd chosen them back. A photo was taken. Me surrounded by colleagues, genuine smiles, belonging. I thought of Brandon's wedding. Table 12. Me alone. The contrast was everything. Lauren approached afterward. Thank you for including me tonight. You earned it. Your Q4 work was exceptional. Not just work. Thank you for showing me what integrity looks like. Mid-March, Northwestern hosted a ceremony, the Rebecca Sawyer Memorial Scholarship, 5th anniversary. First time publicly revealing me as the donor. The dean spoke. 3 years ago, Helen Sawyer established this fund with a $250,000 gift. That investment has already changed 3 lives and will continue supporting students from blended families indefinitely. Helen, would you say a few words? I walked to the podium, looked out at the audience, took a breath. My mother died when I was 10. For years after, I felt invisible, like I didn't quite belong anywhere. This scholarship exists for young people who know that feeling, who work 3 jobs to pay tuition, who sit at family tables and feel like guests, who achieve things no one notices because no one's looking. Pause. This endowment is my mother's name living on, and it's my promise. Someone sees you. Someone believes in you. You belong. Standing ovation. 3 scholarship recipients stood in the front row, crying, applauding. My real legacy. After the ceremony, the first recipient approached me. Ms. Sawyer, because of you, I graduated debt-free. I start at Goldman Sachs next month. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for seeing us. I smiled. Thank you for letting yourselves be seen. That same week, my family saw the articles. Diane scrolling Facebook. Mutual acquaintances sharing the news. Business Journal, Helen's acquisition payout, $2.5 million. Northwestern ceremony, the scholarship. Her mother's name, 250,000. She showed Michael. He stared at the numbers. $2.5 million. Silence. Brandon came in. I saw. I texted her congratulations. Did she respond? No. Did you expect her to? I don't know. The photo wall behind them. Brandon's life in 43 frames. Still no Helen. Never had been. We could try reaching out, Diane said quietly. Michael shook his head. And say what? We're proud now that she's worth millions? Silence. We had 30 years to see her. We chose not to. Late March. My condo. Evening. I was decorating for spring. Small rituals of home. Fresh flowers on the table. The phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Did. Helen? It's your father. I said nothing. I know you asked for no contact. I'm sorry. I saw the scholarship ceremony online. Your mother would be so proud. You didn't call to tell me that. No. I called to say I'm sorry. For all of it. For not seeing you. For not protecting you when you lost your mother. For choosing easy over right. For being a coward. Pause. Okay. Is there any chance we could... No. I understand. I'm proud of who you've become, even though I had nothing to do with it. Thank you for acknowledging that. Silence. Goodbye, Helen. Goodbye. I hung up. Looked at the small table by my window. Fresh flowers. Photo of my mother holding me as a baby. Not hidden anymore. Displayed proudly. I picked up the photo. I did it, Mom. I became enough. The thing about being invisible is that you learn to see yourself. You learn that worth doesn't come from being recognized. It comes from recognizing yourself. They spent 18 years treating me like I was less than. Like I needed to prove myself worthy of basic dignity. Like love was conditional on fitting their narrative. And I spent 9 years proving nothing. I just built. Quietly. In spaces they never looked. I didn't become successful to spite them. I became successful because I refused to let their blindness define me. The scholarship will outlive all of us. Students who feel invisible will get seen. They'll graduate without crushing debt. They'll know someone believed in them. That matters more than any revenge ever could. My chosen family, Jordan, Grace, Lauren, the scholarship recipients, they see me, really see me. And the family that raised me, they finally saw me too. But by then, I didn't need them to. I'd already seen myself, and I preferred the version I built on my own. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever been measured and found wanting for reasons that had nothing to do with who you really are, I see you. You don't need their permission to become who you're meant to be. You just need to stop waiting for it. Build in the spaces they don't look. Become in the ways they don't measure. And one day, they'll finally see you. But you'll have already moved on. My name is Helen. I'm 30 years old. And I'm finally, completely, enough.